What's up? You probably can't hear me because this is on my cell phone and it's super windy today. But today's video was supposed to be like, you know, this epic, like inspirational, like video, but nothing's going right. I came here yesterday to get drone footage, but I forgot my SD card in my drone. So I drove back today because we have the day off and it's windy. And so I was like, oh, you know, it'll be fine. It is not fine. It blew the drone way out there. I was able to get it off the roof and back, but the wind was so strong it wouldn't come here, and so it blew all the way out there and crashed. It's super muddy over there. I had to take my shoes off to film the rest of the video. But the thing is, my other camera, it doesn't have an SD card. So yesterday it did, but the drone didn't. Today the drone does, but this one doesn't. Okay. It's a good thing these are no-show socks because it doesn't really matter if they're dirty. Alright, so I'm back at my parents' place and I have some exciting news to tell you guys. I recently got a job. I'm the new student ministry leader at Lutheran Church of Hope in Grimes, Iowa. It's really exciting. I had my first week this past week and my first time at services on Saturday night and Sunday morning, and it was great to meet people. What I've kept thinking and kept saying is that this whole beginning is just a whole bunch of learning. Like, I'm just trying to be a sponge, trying to absorb and learn as much as I can. And while that's great, and while I'm learning a whole lot and I'm really enjoying getting to know people, it's also really nice to be able to see the church in action and not just have these hypothetical ideas or understandings, but these concrete experiences with the church. So I'm very, very excited about that. But that's just the end of the story, and so I want to tell you the full story of how I got to where I'm at today. So this all kind of began about a year ago. I knew that I wanted to move closer to my family, but I didn't know when or how or what that looked like exactly. So obviously I formulated a plan, and my first plan was to get a job, from there find a place to live, and let that dictate my move date, and then move up to Iowa. I spent a number of months looking for jobs, whether it was youth ministry, whether it was in media, whether it was, you know, just any other job that I might be able to do. I was just looking for work. I was looking for something within 30 minutes of my folks, because anything further I felt like would just limit the amount of time that I'd be able to spend with them, and that's one of the primary purposes of moving up to Iowa. So I kept looking, and in my experience so far, there's nothing more frustrating and depressing than trying to find a job, but not being able to find anything good, or not thinking that you're qualified for anything. It's just so frustrating. You know, you spend these 7 years going to school for college, for graduate school, you have a master's degree, and then you can't find a job. It's just extremely frustrating. You know, there's a few times where I thought I had some good leads. You know, I had some meetings with some important people, but those didn't go how you want them to go. There was a job that I finally found that I thought was a really good fit, and so I sent them my resume, and they never responded. And turns out that organization was undergoing some changes. I don't really know what that means. And that was really, really frustrating because I thought that I'd finally found what I wanted to do. I was talking to one of my good friends, William, just talking about how frustrated I was and how I'd probably end up working at the grocery store in town or something like that, some kind of part-time job in order just to pay my bills. I even considered becoming a custodian at a church. Not that there's anything wrong with custodians. I was thinking about doing that. Ultimately, I decided not to because I'm not very good at fixing things. The cleaning aspect, I was like, yeah, I can do that. But the other maintenance kind of stuff, I was like, yeah, I don't think I'm the person for this job. But I was just looking for any kind of work that I could sustain myself off of and live off of. But it's hard. I was talking to my friend about how frustrated I was, and he told me, what if you do work at a grocery store or some kind of part-time job in the meantime, and you instead of living in your own place, you're living at your parents'? Like, what's the main goal that you have? And that's to move closer to my family, to spend more time with them. He's like, you'd be able to do that. That's not an ideal situation, but the main goal that you have set, that would be fulfilled. To which, he's right. So I changed all my plans. We set a move date for me, and I was just gonna take that blind leap of faith, and so I essentially stopped looking for jobs. I decided that I would just start looking once I'd moved up here and just focus on the move. And while I'd searched for jobs, this job listing had popped up a number of times, and I almost applied at one point, but I just didn't really think it was the right fit for me. I literally had 1 week of work left in Tennessee, and then the next week would just be packing and tying up loose ends, and then I'd be moving up to Iowa. And that last week of work, I was just browsing the job listings again just to see what was out there, and I saw this listing at Lutheran Church of Hope in Grimes, Iowa, and for some reason I just had a peace about this job. And so I started looking more into the church, into the theology, into the area, and the more I did, the more I felt peace, and I thought, this is something that I should look into. And so I looked into this job. Thank you to Mary Beth and William for helping me with my resume. I put together a resume, I sent it in, and then I got a call. And then from that call led to an interview. Again, this is in my last week of work in Tennessee. From there, in my packing week, I got the second phone call setting up my in-person interview, since I'd be moving up there. And so then I packed, I moved, we unpacked the truck on Monday, and then Tuesday I was at Lutheran Church of Hope in Grimes, Iowa, interviewing for the job. A few days later, I got the call saying that they wanted me to become a part of their team. That's been it. It's been a whirlwind, and the whirlwind is just beginning because I'm actually not officially starting until July because I'm traveling so much in June. I had prior work lined up long before I even applied for this job, and so I'm going to Kentucky and Tennessee doing photography and videography. And so I say this whole story because to me it illustrates God's faithfulness, and that's something that I struggled with a lot in the past year, because you read about all these promises in the Bible, and you see God working in the lives of all these other people around you. But when you can't find a job, that's extremely frustrating. There's a lot of unknowns, and sometimes you take leaps of faith. Ever since I got my call into ministry, what I've said and what I continue to be reminded of is that God's plans are always better than our plans. The life that I've been able to live, it's been far better than the one that I would have constructed for myself. So thank you so much to everybody who supported me through prayers, through encouragement, through advice. I would not be where I'm at today without your help. Thank you so much. Peace.
What do you think? Was that good? Yeah. Do you like Iowa? Maybe? We'll get our own place soon, buddy, I promise.